Hello once again, everybody, and welcome back into NFL in a Flash. He's Joel Silverberg, I'm Eric Kane, and we're going to get you caught up on what happened around the NFL from Week 5. Joel, we usually start out with the Titans, but I want to move that to Block 2. I want to start out with Drew Brees. What a performance on Monday Night Football. Becomes the NFL's all-time passing leader ahead of Peyton Manning, and of course, Tom Brady on Thursday night threw his 500th career touchdown pass. Two quarterbacks, obvious Hall of Famers, and really two guys that we've got to see pretty much their entire career. What can you say about the milestones passed this week in Week 5 in terms of quarterback play?
Well, I think what's so remarkable is that they're not just racking up stats as a result of longevity. That's part of it, but they're also playing really good football, and they're playing elite football. I'd say they're still both top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League right now, and for them to do that, Brees, I believe, 39 years old, Tom Brady turning 40, it's remarkable what they're able to do at this point in their careers.
So the conversation was had leading up to Monday night. You know, Drew Brees passed Peyton Manning to become the NFL's all-time leading passer. The conversation is, once he passed Peyton Manning, should he be viewed in the same light, maybe even better? And I'm not asking you to give me your top 5 because I think we both have the same number 1 quarterback in Tom Brady. But when you look at Peyton Manning's career, you look at Drew Brees' career, where do those two stack up in terms of who might have the edge so far? And I know Drew Brees is still playing.
Well, I think when it's all said and done, I think Manning might be viewed as the better quarterback, depending on how long Drew Brees plays. I mean, Manning has 2 titles. He's played in 4 Super Bowls. Brees won the only Super Bowl that he's played in. Manning has had far more team success. And the game was a little bit different under Manning. He played in a different system. Brees has always played in that air it out type passing game where rack up a lot of yards, rack up a lot of points. They're just 2 very, very different quarterbacks. Both are first ballot Hall of Famers. If you're asking me head to head which quarterback was better, I'd probably say Manning, just because of how much he was able to do in versatility with changing plays at the line of scrimmage, the different types of receivers that he had. Brees, I don't think, has ever really had that one big-time wide receiver for an extended period of time like Manning has. So you could argue that Brees has done more with less. I would probably say that Manning overall was the better quarterback.
Peyton Manning still holds the NFL record for touchdown passes at 539. Of course, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, certainly capable. Drew Brees at 499. You thought he might get that 500th as well with last night. But when you look at the two, you mentioned the Super Bowls. Drew Brees, a 1-time All-Pro. Peyton Manning, a 7-time All-Pro, but certainly 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers, like you said. Let's move on. The Tennessee Titans, they were 3-1, looking to go to 4-1 with a trip up to Buffalo. And kind of the theme for Tennessee is, at least offensively, the last 2 years, inconsistency. Once again, Tennessee drops what should have been a win for a 3-1 football team.
Yeah, you say drop, and you mean literally. Nick Williams with the open touchdown pass that he dropped in the end zone. It's tough. No touchdowns for the second time this season. Tennessee really struggling to get things going offensively. They move the ball really well. They just don't finish drives. We're 5 weeks into the season. Tennessee has 5 red zone touchdowns on offense. That's not winning football. They have the second lowest scoring total in the AFC, ahead of only Buffalo, the team that just beat them on Sunday. So it's been frustrating. I thought Mariota actually played fairly well. The offense just not doing enough, and it doesn't help that Taylor Lewan went down again with another injury.
Injuries have been an issue for Mariota, for Lewan, for Conklin. You name it, they've had injuries all over the place. This Tennessee defense is a top 10 defense this year. They've held Jacksonville to 6 points. They held Houston to 17 points. And, of course, Buffalo just to 13 points in a losing effort. But offensively, in order to get things going, putting aside the excuses for injuries and everything, when do you think it's time for some pressure to be put on Marcus Mariota to flourish in this Matt LaFleur offense?
Well, I think the pressure is already there that he's placed on himself. I don't think, in terms of a quarterback change, I don't think you're going to see that anytime this year. As much as Mariota struggles with consistency, he's clearly the guy over Blaine Gabbert. I mean, Gabbert wasn't able to do a whole lot in the time that he was in there, and then he takes a shot and ends up with a concussion in the Jacksonville game. So Mariota is the guy moving forward. I do wonder how long it'll take for him to progress under Matt LaFleur's offense.
Another storyline in the National Football League for Week 5 was kickers. Of course, when you're a kicker, you're the hero or the GOAT, and that term was literal for Graham Gano, a game-winning 63-yard field goal for the Panthers over the Giants, and then Mason Crosby, who was 0 for 5, missed 4 field goals for the Packers and an extra point. Crosby's job security is safe. They came out and said they're going to retain him. He's the all-time leading scorer for the Green Bay Packers, but When you look at the scale of those two guys, Gano and Crosby, what's that say about the kicking in this league?
Yeah, well, Crosby was a really highly touted kicker coming out of Colorado, and a few years ago he had a horrible season, and Green Bay stuck by him. You fast forward a couple years, and then he hits those two clutch 50-yard field goals in the playoff game against Dallas. So I would say what happened on Sunday is an anomaly for him. He's one of the league's best kickers. And then for Gano, someone that's been in Carolina for a while, a 63-yard field goal. It ties for the longest game-winning field goal in NFL history, and I believe he's only the second or third kicker ever to hit a field goal of that length away from Denver, because so many of these kicks with the thin air, all these kickers can hit those 60-yard field goals. They don't necessarily get to do it in a game. But in Denver, it is a little bit easier with the air being a little bit thinner. So for Gano to do it away from Denver for a game-winning field goal is very impressive.
Let's transition back into the AFC. Cincinnati, certainly a surprise team so far, playing very well this year. New England looks like they're getting back on track. Pittsburgh had a big win, but the Chiefs. Are the Chiefs for real? They've been kind of that 3 or 4 seed type AFC team the last couple of years, but can they be that number one team this year in the AFC?
I think they can. They've won against a tough division opponent in Denver in prime time. They've gone out and they've beaten a good Pittsburgh team in a shootout, and then they handled Jacksonville with relative ease. And so I think that was their statement win. So I do think the Chiefs are for real. I don't know if they can continue to win consistently against teams like New England, the league's elite, consistently trying to play that high-scoring style of offense. The defense is going to have to get better, but I do think they're a contender in the AFC for sure.
Highlights all around in Week 5 of the NFL season. I'm going to start out with our playmaker of the weekend. On the defensive side of the football, I'm going to go to Arizona and Budda Baker, the second-year safety out of Washington. 16 tackles, 11 solos in that win over San Francisco. Joel, who's your playmaker of the weekend?
I'll go with Drew Brees. The record-setting performance, to do it on Monday Night Football, the way that he's gone about it too, and you do it off a 61-yard touchdown pass. I mean, that's incredible. There's no better way to break the record than something like that. You get the win too, which is a big deal, and the Saints continue to keep pace in the NFC South after the Panthers get the big win. So I'll go with Drew Brees, a record-setting performance, and doing it on Monday Night Football and doing it with a lot of fireworks. It was a great night for the Saints.
Week 5 in the books across the NFL landscape. Tennessee plays host to Baltimore next week in Week 6. With Joel Silverberg, I am Eric Kane. This has been NFL in a Flash right here on Sports Radio, WNML.com.